Hello there. A little bit ago, I finished attending Sunday Morning Zen, which is the weekly service held via Zoom under the circumstances by my Roshi, my Zen master, and the Sangha, the spiritual community that I belong to. And this morning, the talk was on joy. And one of the things that came up for me while I was listening to it was this vision of a big black cloth or veil. And to me, that represented suffering or pain. And then as the talk went on and talked about all these moments of joy that we experience, I imagined holes being poked in that big veil and sunlight coming through. And then it reminded me of the two sides of life's experience. The contrast. You have suffering and you have joy, and they're existing simultaneously, just like the holes that are in the veil of suffering. The sunlight's always coming through. But depending on where your attention is, you may see one and not the other. And when it comes to chronic illness, that's pretty easy to do. I counted last night, not that I'm keeping score, but I have 8 different conditions, chronic conditions, that I deal with on a daily basis. Some like depression, anxiety, very common. And then others like Ehlers-Danlos or multiple sclerosis that seem much more physical, but of course have emotional repercussions. And having been an avid student of Buddhism for about 27 years now, I've developed a lot of insight and tools and resources and skills in dealing with my conditions. And I wouldn't say that I've reached any level of perfection or enlightenment or anything like that, because the journey's ongoing. From one day to the next, I may feel along the continuum from, hey, I feel pretty darn great, let's go out for a walk, to I couldn't get out of this bed if I wanted to, and all points in between. So that can make for a lot of suffering, a lot of frustration, and a lot of tears. But it also can make room for laughter and smiles and gratitude and compassion. And knowing how to use your awareness in such a way where you allow the joy to come in and permeate your experience of life, achieving a better equanimity or balance is what allows you to remain engaged and hopeful and joyous in life regardless of your suffering. Now, I'm not saying this is an either-or type of scenario where you're either suffering or you're joyful. I'm saying it's an and, because anybody who lives with me can tell you there are some days I can be miserable. I can be angry and be stuck in it for a while. I can be sad and sobbing. And kudos to the people who live with me who have to feel the intensity of those emotions sometimes, because when they come, they tend to come strong. And I need support when they do, and patience from other people, sometimes at a saintly level. Fortunately, I eventually find my way back to joy and better balance. And that's really where the skill lies. It isn't a matter of getting there and staying there. It's a matter of being able to navigate those difficult moments and find your way back to a more rooted, more present, more grounded place. And that's where you're going to find joy. Right here, right now, in the experience you're having. And when I work with my clients, this is the kind of stuff I teach them. Because a lot of them come to me with some kind of chronic situation, whether it be OCD or anxiety or shame, the belief they're not good enough, or something physical like POTS, Ehlers-Danlos. There are so many ways suffering can become a preoccupation in our life. And unfortunately, there are some factors in our culture that encourage us to be victims and label and live in our condition and be part of a group, be part of a diagnosis group that can kind of lock us in to that reality at the expense of finding joy. So what I really emphasize with the people I work with is be here now, be present, be the you that you are in this moment, and find all the joy that's available to you. But if the suffering creeps in, Let it in, acknowledge it, accept the reality of it, and ask yourself, what is this wanting from me? Why is this suffering showing itself? What does it need from me? And how can I bring the joy and compassion that's also part of this moment and extend it to the suffering? I'll leave you with that thought. And I also want to let you know that there's room in my inner circle for you if you want to dive deeper into this work and establish the balance between the suffering that seems to be so overwhelming and the joy that is readily available to you. And we'll do this work together because, like I said, it's ongoing. There's no level of perfection. It's like walking a tightrope. It's about keeping your balance. So until we talk again, remember, no matter what's happening in your life, you're good enough. And thanks for being you.